Okay, so we are so happy to have Ashok Rajgopalan with us. And when we all think of Ashok Rajgopalan, we think of the Gajpati Kulpati. And I think this is a landmark book. If I were to think of my childhood when I was growing up in 80s, it was Mowgli and the entire Jungle Book. In the Indian context, if something by an Indian author has been created, I think the only answer that everyone would joyfully agree with me is the Gajpati Kulpati series. And we are really humbled and honored to have Ashok Rajgopalan with us today. And we are so happy that this is our first podcast with our favorite author and our favorite publisher, Tulika. Great. So it is so interesting to know that you did your mechanical engineering and you worked as a marketing executive. Please tell us, how did this, please tell us about that moment when this change occurred in the life.
Thank you, Samir. I'm also delighted and honored to be here, not humbled. I'm actually proud. Thank you very much. uh, in those days, your childhood was in the 80s, mine was in the 70s. I was born in 1964. So then these writing and drawing were considered hobbies, not professions. So my father was an engineer. He worked in an engineering company, large automobile. They made wheels actually. So I was supposed to go there, and that was then. Your father. So you do what your father has done because
Hmm.
he knows you. I mean, he knows best, and by the time he retires, that's a father's duty. So they get married at the right time, they have children at the right time, and they get the job, son's place before they retire. I mean, it was like that thing. And I thought I was going to be an engineer, so I was drawing and writing only my hobby. So first opportunity I got, I ran away from engineering into marketing, ran away from marketing into advertising and graphic design, then ran away from advertising into publishing. So I'm here. I've arrived in publishing. Mhm.
Tell us about that moment precisely when you realized, engineering is not for me, advertising is not for me. What led you to writing? I mean, tell us about that
Uh,
plunge.
I don't think the fault lies in the subjects or the areas. I think the fault lies in ourselves. Um, uh, Engineering, I like parts of engineering. I had technical drawing as my elective, so I enjoyed that very much. And we had for a project, we had a solar powered cooker and all that. So parts of it were nice. Um, and I didn't know about this area. See, those days we thought artists. I didn't have dreams of becoming a writer, so it was an artist. Artist was like M.F. Hussain or R.K. Lakshman or Mario Miranda, all the famous ones,
Hmm.
and the ones who drew in the local magazines, or signboard painters. These are the only artists we knew. And you have to be lucky to get one, and the other one won't pay. So they weren't considered proper jobs. Then someone told me in advertising, um, they have they use artists and designers. Actually, it was my boss for whom I was marketing metallurgical products. So then, when I saw an ad asking who said they were into graphic computers, I applied there in marketing because they wanted people who sense opportunities where apparently there are none. So they put me in marketing. Then after a few months, I asked for and got a job as a graphic trainee in their art department in advertising. So it was slow. It was not like. And then I wanted to get married. This wasn't paying enough. So I decided to become a freelance designer and illustrator. And uh, during the when I was a freelance designer, I found the most scope for illustration in children's books. See, I love children. I like talking to children, relating to them, telling them stories now. But I didn't get into this field because I love children. Only because I was more scope for illustrations in children's literature than adult literature. I finally came to children's literature. This
Children's
was
literature.
1989. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
In 1989, there was a magazine called Junior Quest,
Mm-hmm.
headed by Aditi De, the author now. She was the editor then. And for 2 years, I worked on that magazine doing illustrations. So, and then after that, Tulika, when they started out, I was one of the few illustrators they knew. So I got
Mm-hmm.
work. My first book where I saw my name in print was Icha Pucha, published by them. This was
Mm-hmm.
like 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't one moment. I think it was a gradation.
Greatest. Sure.
I inched myself towards this.
Wow. So tell us, when you were told by Tulika that we need to do a picture book for 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. Obviously, Gajpati Kulpati, the name as we know it today, wasn't created. How did it all come out?
That was really
What was told, and how it turned in the shape and form of Gajpati Kulpati, and the rest is history. Please tell us that those first meetings,
this was
deliberations.
somewhere in 1999, 2000, that period. While I was working in Tulika as an art editor,
Uh-huh.
and they had an exclusive, exclusively for children, they had a bookstore. Tulika had called Good Books, and they were doing story reading sessions there. It was headed by Jiva Raghunath. So she
Okay.
started doing the storytelling there.
Uh-huh.
And they were reading out stories. Like this was when Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire was launched that year. So
Okay.
they were doing story readings from books. And they had all kinds of children's activities there. Radhika Menon said, "Why don't we have original stories to tell them?"
Hmm.
And had written something, I think a skit based on the people at Tulika. I made them all bird characters, and I had written. So Radhika said, Ashok, why don't you also write something? So one Saturday, after they have all left for, it was half a day then. The people have, the editors have gone. I sat and wrote Gajapati Kulapati. It took me about half an hour because there was no, what do you call, it wasn't very it was just something which is going to be used for a storytelling. So now when to get an idea, it takes me a year. I'm so concerned whether it will be received as well as others and all that. Then I didn't
Hmm.
think, I just wanted to make the children laugh. I want to have lots of sounds in it.
Hmm.
So it was supposed to be a script for storytelling. It wasn't supposed to be a book. That is why all
Okay.
those sounds. That is
Okay.
why all the onomatopoeia and the rhythmic lines and all that.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
wrote it. Sandhya Rao wrote
Uh-huh.
Sunu Sunu the same.
Hmm.
And later Sunu Sunu was published. 10 years later, Tulika decided to publish Gajapati Kulapati.
Okay.
2010. See, you
Okay.
won't think of me now. I'm an
Hmm.
illustrator. I've been given, I don't know, must be about 40, more than 40 books I've illustrated for Tulika. Oh, the
Hmm.
illustration job, all Ashok, just suited for him. People have to first think of me as a writer. No? So, but
Hmm.
this came from Tulika.
Uh-huh.
Suddenly they decided I should be a writer. So Gajapati Kulapati was published. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm. Great. Great. So let me ask you, today we have almost 6 to 7 titles as in the Gajpati Kulpati banner. If Gajpati Kulpati was to be in a city, say Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai, how different do you think it could be.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him to be in a city, at
Mm-hmm.
least in a rural kind of a place. I mean, at
Okay.
least adjoining forests and all that, like he is now.
Hmm.
Uh, August 22, 2000, that was when the first book was launched.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Madras Day.
Oh.
So Sandhya Rao had an idea. So they had a, I think then we did we have YouTube? Something else. It was a book published like a book. So she had all these slides. I forget what the
Mm-hmm.
thing was. It was YouTube or what the platform was. I forget. So there it was Madras Day. So she and she also had me draw big cards, boards with Gajapati visiting various landmarks in Chennai.
Okay.
So there you show him swimming in the beach, visiting
Uh-huh.
the Thousand Mosque, the Thousand Lights Mosque, going to the central station, and he
Mm-hmm.
looked happy. But ideally, I wouldn't want Gajapati in an urban setting. Maybe a brief
Mm.
visit.
Maybe a
I'm taking
brief
him
list.
all around all these cities.
Okay. Oh, okay. Also, one very foundational question: why elephant and not any other animal as a central character? What were your?
Okay.
How did you end up choosing an elephant?
Okay. All this, it's like by hindsight. You do
Uh-huh.
these things by some subconscious thought which converts to some action. Now, when why elephant and all those questions people ask me, I have to. It's only by hindsight I discover these things. I mean, to have answers for this. Then I didn't think about anything. I just wanted to write a funny story. I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it just happened. But if you look at the reasons, I was born in Kerala,
Uh-huh.
and my mother, till she got married, she was there in a small village in Kerala. They love elephants. You go to any Malayali's home, you will
Mm-hmm.
see wall hangings, elephant wall hangings, wooden elephants, elephant keychains, all kinds of elephants in the room, different shapes and sizes
Correct.
and colors.
Correct. Correct.
So my mother loves elephants. She's in her 80s. She still goes to YouTube, learns all about what's happening to elephants today. So she knows all about elephants. She loves elephants. So when I wrote this story, I wrote it for her. So
Okay.
that is why elephant. And when you write an story about an elephant, you make sure you use what's special about an elephant. So that is why the first one is about the long nose and it is cold.
Hmm. 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 Got it. Got it. So, tell us a little more about your childhood. So, how was Ashok Rajgopalan as a child? What did he grow up reading?
Okay. That's a specific question that is easy to answer. I was a happy child, I think, but we'll always remember our child. Well, but there were these tense moments when you have your report card and you have to face your father and get a signature. I don't know about you. I was a poor student. I was bad at sports. I was bad at studies. I was good only at drawing and English. I was always fond of paper. I was fond of paper.
Hmm.
There lots of paper in the house. My grandfather had he worked from home. He had a business from there. So lots of paper. So craft, drawing, cutting paper, all kinds of things I've done with paper.
Hmm.
Um, what was the specific part of your question? So, uh,
Which,
what was
what kind
on
of,
my, what did I read?
yes, what kind of
Okay.
books you grew up reading at that time?
I'm not sure whether this is good for my readers to hear, but I'll tell the truth.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't a great reader till
Uh-huh.
I was 10.
Okay.
Till then, people have, aunts and grandmothers and my father, my mother, they have told me stories. I've listened to stories.
Mhm.
but I only looked at pictures till then.
Uh-huh.
And the school books you have to uh, uh, read. But I wasn't
Mhm.
terribly fond of books. My father had a lot of books in the house, but I remember I used to read a lot of comics.
Comics, okay.
That was like that was frowned upon then. It was considered lazy reading. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but, but I was I had a great time with comics. Downstairs uncle was a member of a lending library and brought comics home, so I had plenty of comics to read. So that uh, at 10,
Uh-huh.
um, a girl, I mean an akka,
Mhm.
older, whom I respected. uh, I mean, you have all kinds of mentors in when you're a kid, So this
Mhm.
was somebody I respected, Meena.
Uh-huh.
She gave me a book and said, "Read this."
Okay.
Oh, that was Enid Blyton's Five Go to Billycock Hill. So that was the
Okay.
first thick book I read. I felt very proud after reading that. I couldn't understand a lot of words. Some
Mhm.
I understood through context, but I got the overall. It's like watching a movie in another language you don't know, but you get. So I felt very proud. Then I remember my favorites were like Alice in Wonderland.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I was in 11 or 12, I read Swami and Friends, which is Malgudi days now.
Yes.
R.K. Narayan, Swami and Friends. And like that, I was. Then my father made me a member of libraries, and I became. I was a introvert, a shy kind of
Mhm.
person. So then suddenly I became a great reader. I was always had a book in my hands. By the time
Mhm.
I was 12, I was a great reader.
Okay.
That was my only passion, actually.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
At 14, I discovered Woodhouse and wanted to become a writer.
At 14.
P.G.
Okay.
Woodhouse.
PG Borders. Okay.
His writing inspired me.
Okay. Okay. So if I were to ask you, any particular book which stayed with you for its writing, which one would it be?
Leave it to Smith, P.G.
Okay.
Woodhouse. I must
Okay.
have read it, I don't know how many times, 25 times, 30 times, I don't know. I still go
Mhm.
and dip into it.
Okay.
It's like a
And
textbook on writing. I learned writing from
oh
reading from
wow.
there.
Okay.
Mm.
That's interesting. Mhm. And any particular book which stayed with you for its illustrations during your growing up years?
Yes. Actually, Alice in Wonderland,
Uh-huh.
uh, the illustrations I've seen all kind of from the original Tenniel's illustrations to Rackham's to uh, and Wind in the Willows. Whoever
Oh,
illustrates these two, wonderful illustrations. Like you want to live in that world.
that one.
Uh, and then otherwise, outside children's publishing,
Mhm.
I'm a great fan of Mario Miranda.
Okay.
Uh, I totally love. I love stylists in literature. I love stylists in art. So this
Okay.
distinct style. Unfortunately, I don't have a style.
Okay.
You can't. One wouldn't say, "Oh, okay, this is Ashok's illustration." Very difficult. Each one changes. But I am a fan of stylists. So Mario Miranda has a distinct, wacky style, goggly
Right.
eyes, and I love that style.
Right. In fact, I can say today, uh, if anybody was to pick up a Gajpati Kulpati book even once, even for say couple of minutes, and if that person was to revisit or relook at that book anytime later in their lives, they will instantly arrive at the conclusion Ashok Rajgopalan. That's the distinct Gajpati Kulpati lines
Okay,
which we
thank
have been
you,
able to create in our minds. I can assure you that much.
thank you. That yeah, that style is there for Gajapati Kulapati at least.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. If I may ask, What are you reading currently?
Ah, actually, I'm I'm reading. I'm not reading any contemporary thing. You should have asked me last month. I would have said Murakami and very impressive authors. I'm rereading Chesterton's Father Brown series.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If you asked me 3 months ago, I would have said Ruskin Bond. So I have
Ruskin
these phases.
phases. Correct. Yeah.
So now I'm reading G.K. Chesterton's. There's a
Uh-huh.
Father Brown, so I'm reading them in order. The complete Father Brown again.
Mm-hmm.
He's a stylist. I
Uh-huh.
love his writing.
Mhm. It's good to see. I mean, you have different authors on your list, different styles which you love. And also, you have been mentoring people on self improvement. Uh, can you guide those who are readers? How can they continue their reading habits? Any mentoring to readers on continuing to read? Any tips and tricks you would like to share?
Uh, I think it's first to convert them to these days, with all so many screens. And
Mhm.
I hope once they see the joy in reading and the different kind of experience, they'll continue. But they'll come out of it, go back into it. Um, I really don't know how
Mhm.
to. Uh, for
Any
example, if it's a couple, okay,
uh-huh.
or a parent and child, I would advocate community reading sessions, or I mean, to
Okay.
reading something together and laughing along. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer usually I would prefer something funny like Woodhouse,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a child, Chhatrapati Kulapati, uh, so they can. So you make reading an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I know they are
Okay.
talking about making memories and all that. No, so this is a great memory to make. So the parent with the child, a couple can read a book together, so it becomes a shared experience. So maybe I don't know. This is totally off the thing since you asked me, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody's asked me how to get someone to read. I don't know. The
Uh-huh.
only way I know is to write good books. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Other ways I don't know. Even my children, no, I tried. We used to have these community bedtime sessions. So all four of us in a room. I'll read for each, and then for my wife and I, a separate self-improvement book for us, or some
Okay.
positive thinking book or something. So we used to have Woodhouse. We used to have Roald Dahl. We used to read, but all four listen to all the books.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, like that.
Like okay.
Then I used to read, like my son was reading Harry Potter. So we used to, for bedtime, about half the book or three-fourths of the book, then I asked him to finish the book by himself. So I've tried everything as a parent. But, you have to leave it to them. You can't, if you force children to read, they may develop an aversion to it. So they have to know it's a good thing. They should see you have fun with the stories, and you can share what stories you read with them, and read with them like a shared experience.
Sure. Sure.
So
That's uh you are a very, very busy man with almost 500 books to your credit. You do storyboards for television. You write. You consult on design aspects, illustrations aspects. You would be the right person with your commitments and your busy day. With how do you ensure that you read regularly? If you can share the tricks and tips which have worked for you, I'm sure our listeners are also facing equal challenges with reading.
I know I too face challenges with my reading these days.
Mhm.
So what I do, I just say just 15 minutes. I read myself to sleep. The problem with good books is that they put me to sleep faster. Um, so I'm not that much of a boomer that I say we shouldn't read on Kindle or we shouldn't read digital books. I read because it's so convenient. There is no light to disturb other people. So for bedtime, sometimes my Chesterton is totally from the Gutenberg library. So I read it online on my phone. Uh, so I tell myself, okay, I know in the abstract that I'm not doing enough reading like as I used to do. I used to read during lunch, whenever I traveled in buses, in trains, while eating, everywhere. Well, not
Mhm.
doing crosswords. Uh, I had my
Uh-huh.
phases. So, but now I'm not like that. Now I have to curb myself from looking at Instagram, answering messages, putting a heart on Gajapati posts and all that. Um,
Mhm.
so now I tell myself, okay, I'll read for 10 minutes while I wait for lunch. Now lunch has become like a conversation time. So no time. I can't. Those days we were kind of more silent. I think there was no TV. So there was a lot of reading. So now I tell myself, sometimes if it's captivating enough, you continue to read. You know. So I have to use all these tricks upon myself. I'm more criminal than police in these matters, so I can't really advise. I also would like someone to give me good advice on how to get back to that kind of reading. But it's good that you asked me. So I'm going to make it a point to at least read 3 times a day.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
Uh, Maybe it helps in writing. When you write, if you have a regular time when you will sit down and write, you will do it. Automatically, your brain will tell you, oh, now is the time to write. It's like a
Mm.
coffee or anything else. So now I have to get back. But I think once I get back into that groove, I'll continue to be
Continue.
as great a reader as I was.
I think you shared two very interesting tips and tricks. One is one could read, say, 10 minutes a day, and maybe just take out 10 minutes 3 times in the day. And I think,
Uh, Also goes for work. You want to
okay,
clean a shelf or a room, you just clean
yes,
one part.
one
Also goes
part.
for my work, illustration or writing. I just do it for 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you procrastinate. So then I tell myself, okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So that I brought to reading. Actually,
Mm.
I'm not
Mm.
very proud of myself.
Sure. So, one final question. Today, we all are living in a very distracted world. Notifications and pop-ups and emails and so many areas demanding our attention.
Yes.
So mental health has taken a back seat. What, how do you see role of a book in the context of mental health for parents and their children? Do you
Hmm.
think books have a role?
Hmm. I forget. I won't bet on it, but I think there was a scientific research showed that people uh, handle their mental and emotional. I mean, they are more balanced when they are readers. I mean, readers can handle this better than non-readers or something like that. One
Hmm.
is like they say, travel makes the mind broader.
Broader?
Travel
Yeah.
makes uh, reading does almost the same thing.
Hmm.
You Actually, I'm not a great traveler, but my reading has taken me places, and
Places.
I've met so many people. I came to know and I've understood people from all over the world, through reading. Uh, and uh, now in these days, if you can't do what these people recommend, no meditation and all that, sit doing nothing. That's great. So the um, next best thing is to read.
Mm-hmm.
You sit with the book, be with the book, you dwell in that world. So I think it's a very calming and I'm not. It makes anyone into an intellectual. I think it depends on the books you read, but you're immersed in a world, and By the way, I just recently I had an insight. It's not
Uh-huh.
very natural to read. It's not a
Okay.
natural thing at all. It's actually it was technology once.
Uh-huh.
It was the latest technology once upon a time. It's so funny, some squiggles and marks and something, and somebody converted speech into that, and then it's not like recording speech. If they discovered recording speech, then we wouldn't have had writing or books or anything. Now I'm
Correct.
afraid the world is going illiterate because of all these
Uh-huh.
facilities, not technological developments. Um, so, reading actually is good for one's mental and emotional well-being. I think
Uh-huh.
just
Okay.
the experience of reading. Sometimes I read the classics like Jane Austen. Nothing happens in it. Be description of the castle grounds or something. Uh, I think it's from Emma. So, 3 or 4 pages of just that, but it's a very calming experience. It's like watching these travelogues, on TV. They just
Uh-huh.
travel, or a Discovery Channel where you just watch lions or elephants or tigers doing that thing. You can do all that, but
Uh-huh.
as a writer and a reader and illustrator, I recommend reading.
Reading. In fact, you made a very important statement. You fear that the world is going to become illiterate. Can you please expand on that?
Now, books were essentials those days. I mean, to be educated, you had, I mean, education meant books before because to learn anything, you needed books. And you go to bus stops or stations and you had to read things. Now, I think slowly what's happening, um, the need for that is reducing. So I
Okay.
was in Delhi, the taxi driver. Uh, uh, had an app where I speak
Uh-huh.
to it in English and it dubs that in Hindi for him and he speaks Hindi and then so then after that technology has its uses. For a year did Hindi and Duolingo because that was what I was you that was what I would do before. I would learn
Okay.
a language if I have to be in places where a certain language is spoken. Then I learn, but now you have technology making it easy for you, which means you stop learning. So
Stop.
spelling mistakes were taken care of. Calculation the machine is doing. Now you can speak to Google. Google, how many meters make a, how many feet make a meter? So it speaks back to you. Alexa speaks back to you. Washing machines have started speaking. TV speaks to you. ATMs speak. You don't need to know how to read and write. You don't need books. You don't need manuals. You just watch a video. If you want to solve a problem, you search YouTube. You'll know how to install something more. You don't need
Hmm.
manuals anymore. I think they
Manuals.
stopped
Correct.
making manuals. The reading and books were essentials then. Now it's not an essential. So you do it for
Hmm.
the pleasure of experience now. So we have to um, uh, what recommend that reading for pleasure, for your mental health and your emotional health. For that we have to recommend reading, not as something which is useful, and it is not useful anymore for like before.
So that was Ashok Rajgopalan for all book loving parents like you and me and educators. Uh, so much to learn from everyone, isn't it? So thanks for joining me on From the Stacks with Samir. And every time we will be talking to some new illustrator, new author, and a new educator who can give us some wonderful insights to reading. See you.